Good morning. Welcome to our regular news forum. For today, we'll tackle two issues. First, we invited former Senator Tatad to give his views on the extension of martial law. Nagkukonvene ang both houses of Congress this morning to discuss yung extension of martial law as proposed by President Duterte until end of December, or 5 months more in addition to the 2 months na it's been in effect since yung Marawi siege. Senator Tatad has been a vocal critic of the martial law declaration, and we'll ask him kung ano yung possible impact nitong extension of martial law after today. The second part of our news forum is will be devoted to the issue of yung case ng Ilocos 6 and Governor Imee Marcos. She'll be coming. She will discuss she'll narrate yung facts ng case, and what would be the possible moves ng kanyang kampo, given that the House is merong mga issues na nire-raise tungkol sa issue na ito. Anyway, we'll give the floor to Senator Tatad to give us his opinion on what's happening right now, insofar as the martial law declaration is concerned.
Well, good morning. Malinaw po na 10 o'clock this morning, the two houses of Congress will convene in joint session in order to consider the President's proposal to extend Proclamation 216, issued in Moscow on May 23 this year, proclaiming martial law and suspending the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus in the whole of Mindanao. I support the proclamation of martial law as far as it relates to meeting the terrorism now called rebellion, initiated by the Mounties and supported by the IS, according to reports. So I wasn't surprised that the Supreme Court majority supported this, but I have my reservations about extending the coverage to the other parts of Mindanao that are not affected by the rebellion. Reason for this is that the Constitution is very clear. Martial law may be imposed only in case of invasion or rebellion when the public safety requires it in areas affected by the invasion or rebellion. Now, for areas that are not affected, we are not talking about rebellion or invasion. We are talking about imminent threat of invasion or rebellion. And that was precisely what was eliminated in the 87 Constitution. This provision existed in the 1935 Constitution, which President Marcos invoked in 1972. But this has been expunged from the text of the Constitution. So, hindi ka maaaring magdeklara ng martial law or suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus in areas that are simply, maybe remotely, not even imminently threatened by martial law. Okay, but this is now academic because the Supreme Court has ruled. in favor of the entire proclamation. And as the lawyers here will tell us, the Supreme Court is always right, even when it is wrong. So, now, but the present situation, for me, tells us that the present constitutional provision is simply plugged with holes. Madaming mali. They intended to reform the provision that was used by President Marcos. Ang kinalalabsan ito. The first error is exposed right now in the entire Congress. Tapos na yung proclamation, but the reason for the proclamation is still there. Hindi pa tapos. Proclamation 216 was intended to put an end to the rebellion in Marao. The rebellion is still there, but the proclamation has to end automatically and compulsorily today, on the 60th day, because that is what the Constitution says. So, ngayon, do we need until December 31? I don't know. This timeline is arbitrary. Of course, Alvarez wants 5 years, no? Coextensive with the term of President Tatad, which is also insane. What I'm proposing, nakikinig ang Kongreso, is make the proclamation coextensive with the threat that it is trying to address. Open-ended, walang petsa. Kung kailan matapos yan, doon matapos ang martial law. And then, what we need to do is to have the administrator of martial law, Defense Secretary, making a periodic report to all of us, to the country, to the President, the Congress, and the nation. Every 60 days, maybe, or bahala na sila. So that we'll know when it is going or gone, when the problem is gone. Pero to preset the date beyond the 60-day period provided in the Constitution seems to be without any merit as far as concerned. Now, of course, there is another problem, because in the last few days, in the run-up to the joint session of Congress, we've been seeing ambuscades involving the NPA. Now, the NPA is involved in a continuing rebellion against the state. So yung rebellion nila could have been sufficient basis to proclaim martial law, even without the Congress. But because of the peace talks, yung NDF-1 and the NDF-2 talking, hindi na pwedeng i-invoke yung NPA rebellion as a ground for martial law. Kasi nag-uusap na yun. But ngayon sinasabi ni Presidente Duterte, let's stop talking, let's now fight, and we have all these ambushes. Baka in a few minutes, maririnig natin, may proposal na to include the effort against the NPAs, to include the attacks of the NPAs as additional ground for the extension of martial law. Now, what the problem that arises for me is this: as a layman, let the lawyers debate this. The Congress is only authorized to extend the existing proclamation or the proclamation that is expiring today.
Specific ba yung time?
Huh?
Yung time, today, di ba? Specific ba yung time?
No, 60 days, I don't know what time. At the end of the day today, then, yeah. Oh, but the point is, can the Congress cite additional reasons to extend not only the time, but probably even the geographical scope of the proclamation? I don't know. We'll have to wait for this guy Alvarez to tell us what new brainstorm he has developed. So, this is, I think, what deserves watching today.
Pero kung i-cite ni President Duterte yung actual rebellion being pursued by the as ground for extension, would that be
Hindi na si Presidente Butch ang dito because he has proposed the extension as provided in the Constitution. It is now the Congress that will decide
extension,
the scope, the length of the duration of the extension, and obviously presuming that the area has changed. Can it change the area? This will, I think, elicit some new petitions before the Supreme Court. If the area is expanded beyond Mindanao, I'm questioning, as I pointed out, although because it's all in favor of the other side, that whether in Mindanao, the entire Mindanao should be covered by this proclamation. So, ito ang we cannot anticipate what the Congress will do. But given the fact that you have so many presidential allies there, eager to please the President beyond what is acceptable to public taste, anything is possible. So yun ang iingatan po natin. To recap, bottom line, we are all interested in seeing the terrorism, quote-unquote, / rebellion in Marawi terminated. And we want the President to exercise the powers that he has in order to do so. Although, let us not forget that under Proclamation 55, dated September 4, 2016, he has proclaimed state of national emergency on account of lawless violence, which has not been lifted. And that proclamation allowed the President to call out such armed forces as are necessary in order to prevent or suppress lawless violence. So, tinatanong ko, ano bang mayroon ang martial law na nakadagdag sa pangyarihan ng Presidente para matigil ito? Itong problema nito. Hindi masyadong malinaw pero wala pong, hindi pareho ng Proclamation 1081, naka-outline lahat na gagawin ng gobyerno. And all the general orders and LOIs nakaspell out. Dito wala eh. Balita natin ang nagagawin sa dyaryo. Kung minsan, hindi naman tama. So, let's hope na in the end, ang magiging bunga nito ay katahimikan. Pero yung sinasabi ng Pangulo na ayaw na niya makipag-usap sa mga gusto makipag-usap tungkol sa tahimikan at maglaman lang tayo, take no prisoners, yung instruction sa mga sandat ng lakas natin, medyo napapalao tayo sa hindi nararapat. Ayun.
Can we still consider NPA as a national threat, considering kaya ako sa Malacanang?
Yun ang baka tayo na ngayon ang national threat. That's a very valid question. Kasi kung naman nilideclare ng all-out war, hindi niya ginamit yung salitang ito. No? Pero take no prisoners siya at kalaban na tayo, maglaban na lang tayo, huwag na tayo mag-usap tungkol sa katahimikan. Ang dapat ang unang hakbang dyan ay i-fire niya yung mga komunistang nakapaligid sa kanya sa Malacanang, si Basco. Diyan, Cabinet Secretary number 1, no?
SW.
Si Judy Tagiwalo. Si yung gumagawa ng tinapay, nagmamasa. Di sa masa, no? Sino pa ba? Si Tatad, no? Si Bello, hindi naman yung sympathizer ng si Bayan. Hindi siya card carry. At yung mga undersecretary level, marami dyan, di ba? Marami dyan card carry. Dapat tanggalin na yun, ngayon pa man. Para makita natin, natutuhanan pala na sinasabi natin. At the end of the day, sabihin sa atin, Annabel'S, kayo naman, hindi na kayo mapiro. Hindi ba? Sinabi ko na 3 out of 5 statements ng Pangulo ay dapat meron kayong creative interpretation. Di ba? Siguro, yun na lang, ano? We're not going to make any categorical pronouncements here. Yung sa time na tingnan natin na maigi para masulit natin na maayos. Alam natin ang problema, alam natin ang tungkulin at karapatan ng pamahalaan para masugpo ang problema, tingnan natin kung yun ang nangyayari. O baka ginagamit, maaaring gamitin kasi yung problema to pursue other agendas, which is to exercise unlimited and uncontrolled political power. Yun ang dapat hindi mangyari. More questions?
Good morning, Senator. Do you think this declaration of martial law was intended to quell the opposition?
Wala namang opposition eh. Ako lang yata ang opposition. Meron ba?
The National Transformation Council, Mr. Senator.
No, the National Transformation Council exists on the basis of certain principles and aspirations. Hindi lang political opposition ng NTC, but so many people are looking at it as in the absence of political opposition, kami ang napapagbintangan na kami ang opposition. We're just trying to provide adequate enlightenment to our people kung ano-ano talaga yung mga issues. Kasi bukod sa mga specific issues na nagaganap, ang isang pinakamalaking issue ay yung the state of our moral and spiritual values in the society. Yung Pilipino sa labas, pag nakikita ng extranjero, bago niya malaman na Pinoy, pag napapagmasdan na yung anyo, yung gawain, no? At kung saan siya makikita, di ba? Hindi makikita sa palengke, makikita mo sa simbahan. Then i-conclude na, Pilipino yan. No? Kasi magalang, masimbahin, etc. So, hindi nagmumura. Pilipino yan. Pero yung impression na yan ay nawawala na. Oo. Nandun kami, nandun yung national transformation. Pero yung tanong niyo na was it intended to quell the opposition, to destroy the opposition? Ang net result niya will be to prevent the emergence of a real political opposition. Maaaring ang ibubungan niya yung talagang radical opposition, hindi na yung parliamentary opposition. Kundi opposition na mayroong sapat na component para maitugba yung administration. And we don't like that. Hindi yun ang gusto natin.
So sir, this situation, the current political situation, is, seems like tailor-fit for the communists. They are in government, they are the radicals, they are not afraid of fighting the guns of government.
Well, in fact, yung naitanong mo earlier, yung isang tanong, saan ba nanggaling yung mga armas ng Maute? 2 months of fighting, parang hindi maubos-ubos. Well, our information is that yung weapons and ammo nanggagaling sa MAC. The Moro the Moro Army Committee ng NPA nasa Central Mindanao. Yun ang nagsusupply ng armas sa mga extremists sa Mindanao. So, hindi malayo yung sinasabi mo na it's part of a general plan. Kasi at one point, even President Duterte was reported to have become a member of the National Democratic Front. Ano ba yung merong ranggong Philippines na niya. Kasi Vasco is the Vice Chairman of the NDA. Si Fidel ang chairman. Tama ba ako kanila?
Kaya kasi Angelo Saludo.
Pero alam niya yun. Alam niya ito mga so although he is now saying na let us fight, he has not fired his communist appointees in the cabinet and sub-cabinet, and he has not really renounced his sentiments in favor of Joe Biden.
So, you see any possibility na yung CPP would enter into an alliance with the Maute? Parang, I read yung latest ng mga bayan, parang they were saying na yung moral, they support the moral resistance. And they even described the Maute family as a prominent family in Lanao del Sur. Do you see a brewing alliance between the two forces?
I don't think it is necessary to answer that question because, as I was pointing out, mayroong committee sa loob ng NPA, yung FAC, yung Moro Army Committee, na siya makikipag-ugnayan sa nagbibigay ng armas at tulong sa Maute and other extremist groups. Kasi, ano ba yung weapons na sa kamay ng Maute? So, nandun, mas malakas yata kaysa yung nasa kamay ng militar. Mas maraming barat.
One kilometer.
Armor piercing ang karamihang ginagamit. Marami ang problema.
Mr. Senator,
Yes, sir.
there are allegations that this destabilization going on in Mindanao is, in one way or another, inspired by the Central Intelligence Agency, as what happened in Iraq. What's your opinion on this?
I cannot offer any opinion on anything unless I know nothing about it. If I get all the facts, then I'll provide the analysis. But I don't have the facts.
Okay, siguro our last question on this issue, then we'll tackle another issue after this. Wala na, we'll also
One more question,
take
please.
up another issue.
One more.
Si Governor Imee.
One more.
Sige.
Mr. Senator, I share your idea that the joint session of Congress is not empowered to enlarge the scope of coverage of martial law. Meaning to say, if ever they extend the term of martial law, it will be limited to Mindanao. But is it possible that if the President, for example, encounters intensified rebellion by the New People's Army in Luzon, is it possible that the President will declare another proclamation to cover the area of Luzon?
Well, I don't know what the President is capable of doing. Mahirap ng mag-anticipate. We don't have the necessary intelligence to anticipate what this President is capable of doing. But it's going to be a mess. We'll have two martial law proclamations, one extended by Congress and another and a new one. Medyo dapat merong limit naman sa our capacity to be confused. No? Wala na. Hindi na maandar ang mga kabayan. Pero, wag naman sana mangyari yun. Iusap natin. Wala mangyayari hindi katanggap-tanggap. Dapat ang bayan kasama rito sa gagawin ng Kongreso kahit na hindi natin gusto si Vermont Alvarez. This is the guy who said, sino ba ang walang girlfriend?
Okay,
Thank you.
we'd like to thank former Senator Tatad for sharing his views on the martial law extension. We have a walk-in resource person who will talk about an issue sa
Atty. Na namatay doon yung ano nila, district engineer. Ang sa findings ay suicide, pero ang tama ay sa bibig at sa puso. Now, yung local media lahat ay would like to make an appeal dito sa Manila to investigate the case. Apparently may politika rito. Okay. At dito po si Wilson Jeronimo from local media ng Antique.
Well, good morning, my colleagues in the media. I am Wilson Jeronimo. I am a local broadcaster, Radio Bandera ng Antique. And I'm here to represent our colleagues also, who cannot, of course, come with me and hand over this petition to the Office of the President, sa kay President Duterte on Monday. appealing for a comprehensive investigation about the death and the underlying causes of the death, or seemingly apparently a suicide, which the authorities called in the investigation of our district engineer D.A. Rebeta. Medyo may kahirapan na kasi because Antique is sabihin na natin is one of those provinces na belonging to the poor provinces of the country, but it seems that we in the local media would need the help of the President, of the Office of the President, and of course our colleagues in the media here in Manila. I'm ready to respond to questions if there are any.
So you are formally calling for the President to take action on this?
Yes, sir. Because doon lang, alam naman namin na sa practice namin sa media, in the long years that we have been in the media in the province, pag may mga issues na ganito, it would just end up in the news tables and in the broadcast media for just quite a while. Pagkatapos nun, wala na. Parang nawawala. At nawawala ng kabuuan. Kami naman, ang gusto namin, hindi lang ang pagkamatay or apparently itong suicide ni District Engineer Rebeta ang mapagtuunan ng pansin, kundi kung bakit siya na-pressure and then what caused his decision to take his own life. Yun naman ang mas importante sa amin kasi we have been observing graft and corruption in that agency of government in our province ever since isa lang kasi ang problema sa amin, isa lang naging parang congressman namin doon, isang pamilya lang, it's always the father and the son. So parang nagkaroon na ng immunity from investigation. Ito man nangyayari sa ahensya ito. Kung sino man ang district engineer would always feel the pressure coming from the office of the congressman. So sa aming palagay, dapat talagang makikisaw-saw na ang Department of Public Works and Highways Central Office or even the Office of the President dito.
You're estimating na duda yung report na suicide kasi iba wala tama. And we're also inclined to believe, or we might be inclined to believe na maaaring hindi nga talaga suicide. Pero ang gusto na kung hindi siya suicide, or kahit mamatay siya, ano ba yung mga reason natin doon siya? May autopilotay siya, tapos na. Di ba?
Yes, that's also the same question that we want to cover.
Kaya yung local media doon, more or less alam niyo yung development na pagkaan.
Alam mo sir, yung district engineer namin doon, ever since, papalit-palit na eh. And every time, yung complaint ng district engineer, pag lumabas siya, ayaw na niya ng Antique kasi pinipressure siya ng congressman namin doon.
Congressman,
the former congressman was former congressman Ezekiel Javier, and the incumbent congressman is his son, Congressman Paulo Everardo Javier. So, pressured sila ng congressman. And sa amin, sa lingwahe namin sa local media, the pressure would mean a phone call or a conversation which would tend to result to stories like yung project na yan, ibigay mo sa contractor na ito.
Ano yung mga project, gano'ng kalaki?
Sir, ang lalaki. Recently, ito yung naging cause. So, kung just to give you a background, itong si District Engineer Rebeta, itong nagpakamatay o pinatay na District Engineer, pumasok lang ito nitong March of 2017. March 15 yata, if I remember it right. Then, we had the first and only interview we had sa local media sa kanya. Yung time na sinabi namin, kumusta naman District Engineer? In fact, I have it in my recorder here. Kumusta naman District Engineer? Yung impression mo sa Antique? Sabi niya, maganda ang Antique. Pero kaso lang, ang opisina ng sa problematic office. So from the start, the impression of this District Engineer is that yung in-inherit niya na district office is a problematic office. Yun na nga, itong impression na ito, matagal na naming impression yan. Wala kaming magagawa, wala kaming dokumento, at ni walang district engineer ang maglakas loob sa amin na ipakita yung mga dokumentong question ng local media. Now just to cite an example, itong recently, ito na si District Engineer Rebeta na, there are 4 projects worth 200 million. divided into 4 projects ito eh, at 50 million. Kasi nga 50 million and below, ang mga projects ay nasa district office na bidding, so hindi na sa region. So, 4 na 50 million, so meaning ang bid price niya would be lower than 50 million, so pwedeng i-bid na sa district level. No? So, 4 na protection rights. Yung gusto ng congressman Javier na ito, iibigay sa isang contractor lang itong 4. So, ibig sabihin, iba-ibang pangalan, pero ibigay dapat sa 4. Sabi naman ni District Engineer Rebeta, hindi pwede yan. Kasi nga ako nga pumalit doon sa dating District Engineer, ayaw nating ipagpatuloy itong ginagawa niya. So yung sabi, ibigay natin sa mga capable contractors itong 4 na rights, 50 million, na hindi naman sinang-ayunan ng congressman. I mean, yun pa lang, and that's underway. Ngayon, pinoprocess pa lang yan. Yun pa lang, yung 200 million has, for us, local media practitioners, has become a source of some sort of a pressure on the part of the district engineer. So kung sinasabi na ang cause of the death, the suicide, the murder of District Engineer Rebeta is the problematic office, it would logically seem that the problem and the pressure is coming from the office of the congressman. Now, we in the local scene, in the local media, cannot help but just ask questions, lambast the congressman, lambast the Department of Public Works and Highways, but we cannot have the actual, the physical glance at the documents from the Department of Public Works and Highways.
Meron bang categorical statement ng district engineer na it was the congressman who was pressuring him to?
Now,
or sources lang yung ginamang?
May sinabi siya rito, no? Now, the statement alone of the district engineer saying yung inherit niya na opisina is a problematic office. Ito yung the cell phone itself, no? Can tell whether or not there was pressure and coming from whom. Kasi yung sinasabi doon ng mismo staff ng Department of Public Works and Highways, a day prior or 2 days prior to the apparent suicide, napagalitan ng congressman itong si district engineer mismo sa opisina niya. Sinabi, there was an inauguration of a regionally implemented DPWH project na kung saan hindi na imbita itong congressman. The district engineer, itong si Rebeta, was confronted by the congressman Javier saying, bakit hindi mo ako inimbita? Bakit hindi ko alam na may inaugurasyon? Sabi ng district engineer, sir, hindi ko nga rin alam kasi regional office itong nag-implement ng project at hindi ang district. So, yung mga ganong bagay, naging irritant yun on the part of the district engineer kasi it would add up to the impression na the office is an office which is being pressured by the congressman.
So, yeah, kasi parang kasi second natin information yung binibigay mo, aside ko natin na that conversation actually took place between the congressman and the district engineer.
Yes, that conversation actually took place. No, if an investigation would be raised on the local level, there are employees present when the congressman confronted the district engineer. That's why we're appealing. We are appealing for the intervention of the Office of the President or the Secretary of the Department of Public Works and Highways to conduct a comprehensive investigation. Because, to be honest, we cannot anymore rely on the local authorities because of the influence and the how do you call this? Itong parang ugat na ng influensya because it would, kung tingnan mo, for almost 3 decades, sila ang nag-rule ng probinsya and nagmamayari, parang sila na nagmamayari ng Department of Public Works and Highways.
Are you saying that the congressman has all the motives? Tapos doon sa ginawang suicide, despite yung dalawang fatal na tama, ay hindi na real. Why don't you call yung ano ng NBI to enter the investigation?
Meron na. Actually, it's ongoing on the part of the family, no? So we cannot question that. The family also wants justice, no? Ang asawa at saka anak ng yung mga district engineer, andun na. Kami naman sa Antique, it's not only the death of district engineer Rebecca, which we also sympathize, which is important to us. What would be more pressing and important to us are the reasons behind. Bakit nagpapakamatay ang isang district engineer sa isang probinsya na kung titingnan natin, kukunti nga lang binibigay na pera dati, and how much more ngayon na lumaki ang budget because of the infusion, no? Lumaki ang budget bigla ng DPWH ang ticket. That's why the pressure coming from the office of the congressman.
Bakit hindi yung mayor? Bakit hindi yung governor? Bakit yung congressman? Parang...
Yung DPWH kasi, there was a statement coming from the congressman himself. Sabi niya that DPWH is under the direct supervision of the office of the congressman. So yung governor naman may provincial engineering office yan. It would seem na ang mayor walang pakialam at governor sa lahat ng activities ng DPWH except the office of the congressman. Which of course, with the local media would not believe. Hindi naman pagmamayari niyan ng congressman itong DPWH. Impression nila.
Okay. Meron pa na namang press release.
Yes, sir.
You'd like to ask questions siguro later. At this point, we're waiting for Governor Imee Marcos.